Welcome to Lunch with Lawrence, episode 15. Episode 15, y'all. Featuring, I got my girl Sharia Livingston in the building.
Hey.
Owner of Living Rich and Rich Scholars, right?
Yes.
So, how's your week going? How's your Tuesday morning going?
Tuesday morning is going great. I'm blessed. I woke up this morning. You know, another day for new opportunities. So I won't complain.
Good.
Good. But just been a busy morning per usual. So
look, I'm rocking my living rich. Where's the logo at? Here
right
we go.
there.
I'm rocking my living rich. I bought this from you. It's one of the first items I bought when I first met you.
Now, did you get that from the Glen Village location?
The Glen Village location.
All right.
Down on 105.
Yep.
That's when I first met you when they had that grand
opening. Yep.
And I walked in there. I'm like, oh, this is pretty fly. Okay, let me check this store out. So I like to support my people, and that's where we first met.
Yes,
so I got a couple items. I actually got a hat from you. I got some shirts.
I remember. I still have the picture that we all took. So
yeah, you, me, and my guy Rico. Speaking of Rico, here's his book right here, Real Estate Mind.
I see it.
No, that's what's up, man. So one, I always let people know that the show is about the Cleveland entrepreneur. And it's just talking about entrepreneurship, your journey into entrepreneurship, the good, the bad, the ups and downs, how you got started. So I always ask my guests to tell me about their first interaction or their first experience about entrepreneurship. Like what was your introduction to entrepreneurship? Do you remember?
My introduction to entrepreneurship, I would honestly have to say, started when I was younger, and I didn't even know that I was being an entrepreneur at the time.
Of course, nobody knows.
Yeah, I've always been like a hustler. So, when I was younger, I grew up in a single-parent household, and certain things that I wanted, my mother just couldn't afford. I mean, if I needed my hair done a certain way, or if I needed a certain pair of shoes, nobody was going to stop me from getting it. So, at the time, I had a lot of cousins growing up, and my grandmother, she always had some money, but you always had to work for it, So
good.
I literally was like, hey, grandma, she recycled cans and stuff. I was like, hey, you got some cans for me to come crush? Or do you need some cleaning done in the house? When I was really, really young, me and my brother would go around and shoveling snow or whatever we had to do. So I think entrepreneurship started for me way back then. Way back then. And I'm like, all right, what I got to do to get me some money?
Yeah.
Like, I got to utilize the resources that's around me, and I was very, very good at doing that. So
that's what's
down
up.
to in school, like, I would buy candy from the penny candy store.
Hey, that's a lot of people's hustling as kids.
I would buy candy from the penny candy store. And back then, I used to go to the School of Arts when I was in the 3rd grade and sell it at school. Like, I would sell it.
Back when you was in 3rd grade?
Yes. Sell it in the cafeteria.
I got to start talking to my daughter now, man.
Sell it in the cafeteria. And definitely not for a penny.
Yeah.
So,
hey, let me tell you, man, penny candy is, like, addictive. Because
it is. I still eat it now.
Listen, I was on the west side a couple of weeks ago, and I stopped in the gas station. And literally, they had one penny candy, obviously not a penny no more.
Exactly.
You get like a bag with like 20 pieces in there for like $1. You know what I'm saying? I bought 2 bags.
I bet.
You know what I'm saying?
And probably finished them before you made it home.
Oh, listen.
I would sit in the car and literally unravel each and every one of them. Like, what is wrong with me?
Listen, I hope my dentist isn't listening. So I do have a dentist appointment on this coming Thursday to get my teeth cleaned. She's gonna be like, "What But no, penny candy, man. That's my stuff. So anyway. I want to know what led you to go into entrepreneurship. Like, when did you first get the inclination where it's like, okay, this is what I want to do? And what was the first thing? Like, was it your Living Rich brand, or was there something else that came before that? Like, tell me about, or walk me through.
The more so the mindset of it came from being a teen mother. Okay. So I always was afraid of being without, or being in a situation where, like, me and my daughter didn't have what we needed. So once I had my daughter when I was young like that, my mindset, like, instantly
How old were you when you had your daughter?
I was 16 when I got pregnant, and I was 17 when I actually delivered her.
So you were still in high school?
I was definitely still in high school.
Okay, wow.
I was definitely still in high school. So I had always been working. I think at that time you can get a job when you were like 14 within the school.
Yeah.
So Mr. Hines, he had a class that you can get paid while you were in school. Okay. And I was not originally in that class, but I made sure I got in that class. I'm like, what, they gonna pay us just to be at school and doing work? I need to be in that class. So that was my first thing. That was the first time I got a paycheck. be in Mr. Hines' class. And then when I was able to get a summer job, I signed with me. My mother never had to push me to go to work or get some money. Ever, never. So I signed up, made sure I did the summer job thing. Now, when I got pregnant, I was like, okay, what are we about to do? Because my mother already said, I'm not taking care of nobody's baby.
That's what parents are going to say.
I'm not taking care of no baby. I'm already working hard taking care of y'all three. I'm not doing it. And I respected her. I never was mad about it. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So I used to work at, back then it was Jog Lake.
I used to work there too.
Six Flags now, but it was Jog Lake then.
That was my first job.
That was my first like real job. So I used to work there. I worked there while I was pregnant. And then I worked at like Charlie's Steakery and Random Mall.
Hold on, when you was at Six Flags or Jog Lake, what position?
I'm so glad you asked that.
Were you in foods? Was you in games?
No, and I got fired.
I got fired too.
Oh my God.
I was in the food. I worked in the food. I was like the Dippin' Dots and the ices and the pretzels, like that type of stuff, the concession stands.
You're not gonna believe what my role was. I was operator of the double loop.
How you get fired being an operator though?
I got the ride stuck at the top.
Oh my gosh.
No, and this is what happened.
Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna hear this story.
So everybody was working at Jog Lake around that time. So that's what made the job fun. So one of my coworkers, his name was Travis. I'll never forget it. He would always come over to the double loop and just be bothering me, but we would have fun, laughing at people and stuff like that. And this one particular day, he was over there, and I don't know what we were laughing and joking about, but it was something. And all I know is I hit the wrong button, because you had to like hit different buttons once it got to the top. And I hit the wrong button. When I tried to switch it over quickly, it did something. And nothing that I was doing was working. And they so-called put me on suspension, but yeah, it was really a fire.
Yeah, same here. So. Six Flags suspended me as well. The quick version of my story was I got hustled by a secret shopper. And so, back in the day, them souvenir cups, it's so funny when you think about stuff like back in the day, them souvenir cups were so expensive. Like
exactly.
$10, $12 for a souvenir cup. Like, my mother would never want to spend $12 on a souvenir cup. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Like,
ain't no way. Like, no.
Yeah, back when we was little kids, we'll go to the amusement park. She'll have a cooler, all of our like a picnic, everything was already in there, sandwiches, everything. So we're not spending no money inside, But I was working there, and this lady was like, I only have like $4, and my son really, really wants this. And I have a heart. You know what I'm saying? So I'm compassionate. So I'm like, so I'll ring you up for a ice cream cone or 2 ice cream cones, and I'll just give you the, So that's what I did. And she was so happy, and she walked away. And then like a week later, they called me in and pretty much sat me down. It was like, well, if you did this for this one time, how often are you doing it?
Exactly.
So they was like, we're gonna suspend you for like a week or whatever, maybe 2 weeks. So I'm like, all right, cool. So after the 2 weeks go by, I call them like, yo, where's I ain't get my schedule when I'm coming back to work. And they were like, oh yeah, we fired you, let you go. And I'm like, what?
They definitely iced me the same way. I was so mad.
It's all right, though, because I got over on them too, but that's a whole other story. I ain't gonna say that.
I know what you're talking about. We on camera. We ain't got to talk about that.
So you worked there. You said you worked at the steak spot in Randall Park Mall. Yep. And then what else? What else were you doing till you got to like?
Yeah. So I would keep a job all the time, and I was the type of person where, and all my friends will say this about me: if I was at one job and I applied for another one, I didn't care if they were paying me 50 cents more. I was out. I'm like, yeah, they give me 50 more cents over there. I worked at CVS Pharmacy as a photo tech, the Walmart and Steel Yard. Wow. I was the first crew like that to work in that Walmart and Steel Yard.
Okay.
So yeah, I was just always working. But basically just to make sure like I never wanted to need somebody. Like I have a big problem with that. I hate asking people. Like I'm so prideful, it's ridiculous. So I hated asking for stuff. And now that I had my daughter, I'm like, I don't have to ask nobody for nothing or feel like a charity case. I already had like family looking down on me, people at school looking down on me because I'm pregnant in high school now. So I got teachers telling me I'm not going to graduate and all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a believer out of you. Like that was my mindset at that point. So I always just wanted to make sure I had some type of opportunity to make some money. So after I had my daughter, my mother ended up taking off of work for like a couple months. Like, I got the best mother, the sweetest mother
The mom
ever.
that said, I ain't taking care of no kids.
She done took off work.
Of course they gonna hold it down. It's their grandbaby.
Yeah, she done took off work for like 3 months. She was like, I gotta make sure, you know, she was just so worried that since I was like a young mom, she was like, no, we gotta make sure, you know, you together. Right. Yeah. So, and I was still in school. So what happened was, like, if my daughter would wake up in the middle of the night and was crying, my mother would come downstairs, and my room was like in the basement. So she would come downstairs and get the baby so I could give you some sleep so that I can get up for school on time.
Wow.
So it worked out. It worked out.
Shout out to Mom.
Yeah, I love my mother.
Shout out to Grandma.
She's like the sweetest lady in the world. Like, she wouldn't give me no money.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. She wasn't giving no money, but she was gonna be a grandmother, you know, a great mother to me. Yeah. She was gonna do that part for sure. So big ups to my mom. But
most definitely.
She made sure, you know, I went to school on time and all that good stuff, and I was still working. So after I got out of school, while my mother was still home, my mother would watch her. But other days, I had to pay for daycare and make sure I could, you know, get back and forth. And my daughter's father so he was in jail when I had my daughter. Okay. And then he got out when she was about 3 months, going on 4 months. And then when she was, after her first birthday, he went back. Okay. And he has been in jail, I want to say 16 years. He just got out. He hasn't even been out a whole year. Okay. Yeah, so I literally had to raise her by yourself, completely by myself. So it put me in grind mode.
Yeah, well, one, your daughter is very beautiful. She looks like she's your sister. Y'all look like that y'all probably, 7 years apart. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're the older sister. She's the younger sister. So, I mean, you did a great job. You know, I commend you for that. That's what's up.
Thank you.
Yes, I know it's not easy. Man. She's very well mannered. She's in the business. We'll talk about that. Yeah. You know, she's doing her thing, so that's pretty dope.
Thank you.
So go ahead. Continue.
So, where was I? Oh, okay. So, I started thinking about, like, I'm always thinking of a plan. Like, if this doesn't work, what I'm going to do. Yeah. Or if this doesn't work, what's going to happen? I think about that strategically with everything, down to even when I was in college, schoolwork. Like, if I get an F on this,
okay. So you went to college too?
Yes, I did. I went to college.
Okay.
I did. I went to college.
That's what's up. Wow.
I guess I should talk about that first and kind of go in order. So I made sure I graduated on time, because I told you I had like all this stuff in my ear, people thinking like I wasn't going to graduate and stuff like that. High school, yeah. So I graduated on time. I never had to do like summer school and stuff and graduate later. Graduate on time with my class. And probably a year after I graduated, I went straight to college. So I went to college to be a medical assistant first. Graduated top of my class. Then right after that, I went to nursing school. I went to school to be a registered nurse. And I'm always, like, even now, and my mother, she's like, you're always busy. You're always this, you're always that. I'm always finding a new goal. Like, I don't care what it is. I tell my daughter all the time, when I get 60, I'm probably going to be taking, like, knitting classes or something. Because
just keep it going.
I just have to stay busy. Stay active. I have to just stay, like, I'm very goal driven, I guess you can say, like, and I've always been like that since I've been a kid, so it's pretty natural at this point. But went to school to be a registered nurse, graduated doing that, and so now I graduated from nurse school at 23. I was 23 years old, was a registered nurse. So now it's like, okay, cool. Still got my one daughter, you know, everything's going smooth. I'm making way more money than I've ever seen before all these years. It's like, now everything is paying off. That still just wasn't enough for me, though. Like, it wasn't enough for me. I traveled a lot. I transitioned from doing, like, strictly bedside nursing to traveling. Okay. Now, remember, I have this little girl, too.
Right, yeah.
So, a lot of assignments that I used to go on, like, in the summertime, I would bring my daughter with me. So, she's been, like, a traveling baby for the longest. Like, my daughter's been all over the place with me. And then other times I will leave her with my mom so that I can go get to the bag. I'm like, I want this, I want that. And I always will hear my daughter telling me about, she had this thing when she was little. I don't know if it was because of what she's seen on TV or what, but I want a house with a fence, and I want to ride my bike in the yard. And that stuff stuck in my head. And all I would say is, like, I'm going to get us a house. And a fence, and you a yard. So that was always my goal.
Listen, it's amazing how kids could make you just want to grind more. You know, I seen this. It was a post a little while ago, some years ago actually, and it was talking about how people who don't have kids not everybody, but it was somebody who posted it. It's actually like a celebrity who posted it, and they talked about how like people who don't have kids don't hustle as hard as people that do have kids, you know. And it's like, if you don't have kids and you at a certain age, you shouldn't be broke. Like, you should be busting your ass every day.
I'm sorry, I believe
to get
that,
to the bag. You know what I'm saying? Like, why aren't you have no money when you don't have no kids? You have no responsibilities.
That means you're just
That
lazy.
means you can work as hard as you want, as long as you want. Go to school, entrepreneur, anything that you want. Because when you have kids, you have to stop. You just can't work every day. It's so much. Oh my gosh. I have 3.
You have to separate.
So you know, like,
so you know.
And I work hard.
Yeah.
Like, I work real hard. You know, I'm up early. I go to bed late. I'm grinding. I'm in meetings all day, on the phone all day, traveling, just trying to provide, making sure that all my kids are straight financially. Like, it's a lot of work. So I tell myself, like, I make a pretty good living for myself. So I'm like, dang, if I ain't had no kids, I just wonder. You know what I'm saying? I'm paying tuition. You know what I'm saying? I'm paying all types of stuff right now. So it's just like, I wonder. But then it's like, well, if I didn't have kids, would I be going as hard? Because
exactly.
It's like,
that's the answer
no
right there. Because I always tell people, like, my daughter changed my life.
Yeah.
Because I was bad
Yeah.
as a teenager. Like, I was fighting all the time. I remember my cousin had to come get me from jail. Like, I just...
You've been through it.
I was all over the place. And literally, it was like a light switch. Once I got pregnant, everything stopped. Like, I just instantly got responsible. Like, I ain't doing this, I ain't doing that, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
So my daughter changed my life. So
That's
I literally think I would have never been a bum.
Yeah.
However, I would have never had as much drive as I have had I not got pregnant when I was that young.
Yeah.
So she's definitely
man,
like
God makes things happen for a reason. It may have not gone the way that we wanted to go, but you know, it happened, and you're here, you're thriving, your daughter is healthy, you guys are doing good. So how did we get to what we have now called Living Rich?
Yes. Okay.
So I want to know, and I want to know where it came from. I want to know what it means. How do you define your rich? Like, what? Like, talk to me. What's up?
So the idea behind Living Rich actually came when I was in high school. I have always been a tomboy, like, my whole life. My couple of girlfriends that I have, like my circle, those have been my friends since we've been in 7th grade. Like, haven't switched up in my core friends. However, I transitioned into them from being around guys. It's like 2 of them in particular, when I first met them, they was looking at me like, why she always with them boys? Like, what's she doing? What's going on? Yeah. I've just always been a tomboy. I've always been that girl that's like, she cute and all that stuff, but that's my homie type of thing. So, but since I grew up in a single parent household, like I said, I had to hustle for everything I needed. My mother, she could not afford a lot of stuff that I wanted to wear. Like, I very rarely had some Tommy Hilfiger, some Polo, like Anichi. Like, I didn't have all this stuff that I wanted because she was not buying that stuff. Like, I mean, she would take us to, like, Burlington, and we had to make it do what it do. Like, or we would get stuff on Christmas. Like, I would have to put stuff on my Christmas list or a birthday list or something like that. But, like, random shopping, how we do our kids nowadays, we ain't had none of that. So when we did go shopping, she had a particular price range. So if you only have $150 to get everything you need, but you want these jeans, the jeans themselves are $80. Right. So you're like, I ain't getting them jeans, because then what I'm gonna have left, I still want some Jordans, I still need some Tim. That's over my budget. My mother only spending $150 on me on this trip. So I was always like the kid that's like, I always need answers. So I would go into stores and I would literally feel the shirts and then go to another store and feel the shirts. And when I'm comparing the two, it's like I'm in Dillard's filling these shirts, but remember this Burlington that we had to go to. I'm in Burlington filling these shirts. But I could never understand why the price was so different. Like, okay, why is this shirt $100? But in this, though, it's $25.
Right.
These do not feel any different.
Yeah.
And I figure it's the name. It's the names, it's the popularity. You know, these brands are thriving because of the popularity.
And because our people is what pushes the brands most of the time.
Exactly. It's a whole mindset. Like, people literally believe because it costs more, that's better. Like, they'll pass up something that's cheaper all because this costs more. And it can be the ugliest thing I've ever laid eyes on, but because this is $200, I'm buying this. And it's like, the quality don't even compare. This could be more quality too. Yeah. But because this is $200, and I've seen a couple of popular people wearing it, I'm rolling with this. I'm wrong. This is what I'm buying. I don't even care.
Yeah.
So I always say I'm gonna start my own brand. I'm gonna start my own brand and push. I want people to be leaders in their life. Like, stop just doing stuff because somebody else doing it. Unless this is what you really want to do.
Yeah.
Like, be the leader in your life. So I didn't have a name or nothing, but I always said I was gonna start my own brand.
Okay.
So fast forward.
Yeah.
Life happened. I done had my own struggles. I done been super dumb broke. I done lived in low income housing. I've really transitioned I literally climbed this ladder.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm a registered nurse.
Yep.
Money flowing.
Yep.
Me and my daughter, we moving on up like the Jeffersons. You know what I'm saying?
Moving on up. It's up.
So it's like, okay, now I'm in a better space in my life financially. I still want to do this brand because ideally I'm still the same girl. I'm just a more mature and more seasoned girl. I still like the streetwear. I'm a sneaker fiend, okay?
Yeah.
I love tennis shoes.
Hey,
it's really bad.
That's what's up.
I would prefer to dress in a t-shirt and a hat. Most times people see me, they see me in a hat.
Yeah.
I always got a hat on and a t-shirt on, some jogging pants or some leggings. I very rarely dress up.
Yeah.
When I do, I kill it. But whatever.
I've seen you dressed up.
Yeah, so I very rarely dress up. But I still want to start my own brand.
Yeah.
So now my daughter, we are totally opposite in certain areas. I'm very still tomboy. Girlfriend is prissy. I mean, she is
she's
diva.
Girly girl.
She's girly girl.
Yeah.
But those two things matches and go together.
Yeah.
And she's very big on her appearance as well. She want to wear certain stuff. This has to go with this type of thing. So she's very opinionated. We will go shopping.
Okay.
I will pick certain things out. Certain things she'd be cool with, and certain things she'd be like, I don't want to wear that. I don't want to wear that. And if I am going to wear it, I need these shoes or this headband, this accessory, something to go with this to make it more of my own.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, we should do this together. So when I first started talking about it, my daughter, she was all on board. However, we still didn't know a name. And I was just shooting things out. She was thinking of some things. And I was like, I don't like none of this. And then I started thinking if I'm going to do a brand, this brand is really about how I feel as far as this generation and fashion and just being this leader and this mindset.
Yeah.
But I want it to be more so about my life. This is the journey that I've been on.
Yeah.
What are we going to name it? And I promised to God. I went to sleep. I woke up out of my sleep. And I was like, living rich.
Yeah.
Now, listen, when I said that out my mouth, all I was thinking about is the mindset. I want to push the people to make rich be their own definition. It still didn't correlate that this name is me and my daughter's last name. So when I came with the name, I still hadn't put the two and two together. I'm just living rich. That'll be a dope name. That way people can put their own definition on what it is. It's not an actual a lot of people have logos that have characters on there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts them in a box in a sense. Versus just having a general logo, a name with a meaning behind it and letting people decide what it means to them. Yeah. That's where I was at.
Define your rich.
Define your rich.
Yeah.
It literally was not until I started telling people the name and I was like, that's our last, I'm like, Shamaya, that's our last names.
Right, yeah.
So I was like, this is how I know it's divine. Because I didn't even think about that when I came with the name. Okay. That my last name is Livingston, my daughter is Richardson. Together, it's living rich.
That's dope.
So that's where it came from.
Wow. So how long have the Living Rich brand been around?
So the brand itself has been around for 6 years.
6 years.
However, I've only been doing this brand full time for 1 year.
Okay. So we're gonna get into that. So in a second. So tell me about, you came up with the name, right? What happened next? The name is agreed upon between you and your daughter. Yes. So is this business venture you and your daughter? It's something that you guys decided to go into together? You brought her on board?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So at this point, your daughter's probably what, 10? 11,
she's
10 years old. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That is dope, man. So tell me about your first piece of clothing, your first thing you created.
So
and how did you go about doing it?
So when we first started, the brand was not unisex.
Okay.
It was all female driven.
Okay.
It was female driven. I just wanted to like have this whole women unity thing with the Define Your Rich. It was just all female driven. Mm-hmm. So I ordered, which my boyfriend at the time, he thought I was completely nuts. But it was like, it's my money. I could do what I want to do with it. And I was making so much money as a nurse.
Okay.
And I was very good managing like my bills and stuff like that, keeping things in order. So I literally took $2,000 and I just ordered all these shirts.
Okay.
And I'm very good with coming up with concepts and designs. However, I don't know how to actually design.
Okay.
So back then, which this website is super popular now, called Fiverr, which I'm sure you've heard of. A lot of people, you've never heard of it?
Never heard of it.
Okay,
I'm not in that industry.
Free game.
Yeah.
No, Fiverr you can use for everything.
Okay.
Everything.
Okay.
So I got hip to this website called Fiverr, and I went on there and I literally typed in logo design, graphic design. You can literally type in anything on there. If you need somebody to write a proposal for you, you could type in proposal, and it will be 100,000 different people on there to help, write. And you can see their samples and, people they work with, all that stuff. Yeah. So I typed that in. My logo literally cost me $10.
This logo right here.
That branded logo that is now trademarked.
This logo right here.
Was $10. That logo was $10.
Okay.
Yep. So I went in there. I got my logo done. So that was the first thing. Yeah. And then after that, I'm very big on like making sure I'm protected. Remember, I told you since I was younger, I'm always figuring out a plan for a plan. Making sure things are lined up. So at this point, I have done my research with like the streetwear industry, period. I've heard about brands that have gotten their ideas stolen, all types of stuff. So I wasn't even releasing Living Rich till my stuff was in order. However,
smart.
I told you before, I don't like depending on people. So a lot of things that I've learned on my journey, I've taught myself so that nobody could take anything from me, or I wouldn't have to depend on somebody to get to the next level. So my LLC, my EIN, I trademarked my own brand. I copyrighted all my designs and everything myself.
That's what's up.
Because I was so afraid that somebody with more money or more popular, once they seen it, they could take off with it. So got the logo done. And then I went on Fiverr. I would like type to these designers my concepts, and then they would send the graphics. A lot of them actually. I was like, no, until I got it exactly how I wanted it. So I had the signature T-shirt, which I used to do in like so many colors. It was insane. I learned my lesson from that. But I would do like 1 billion colors in this. And then I had this shirt that had like a woman's hand, and it was lips. It was like she was talking. And I called that shirt Speak Rich. It was called Speak Rich. And I had another one. Oh, it had a heart. It was a heart, and it was like broken, like kind of broken down the middle. And in the little pieces of the heart, it had all these things that kind of define your rich or whatever, like happiness, family, wealth, and all these different little things. And it had Define Your Rich on there. So that was like my first 2 main designs, and I had all those signature shirts, of course. So I spent $2,000. Back then, what is her name? She owns New Life.
Maisha.
Her and her husband had a printing company. They had a printing company, so I've always been big with like supporting Black businesses.
And networking,
So I seen they had this printing company, so I was like, okay, cool. I'm just about to go with them. Like, it's local. Worst case scenario, I can go pop up and I can check what's going on. So first order was $2,000. I had all these shirts. And
hold on, I was just trying to think. 2,000, and I know you're buying it in, like, obviously you're buying it in bulk. So I'm thinking about like I could get 20 shirts made with my logo on it for like 100. You know what I'm saying? So you spent $2,000 on shirts. On shirts
because I had all these colors.
Golly, sheesh.
I've always been a risk taker, so I didn't care. I was like,
go hard or go home.
And in my mind, I'm like, I can make this back. Like, I don't care. Whatever. We about to do this.
Did you make it back?
I did, but not as fast as I wanted to.
Okay.
Like, I had some of those shirts in year 3.
I bet.
But I didn't care. Like, it was like, whatever. They're going to get sold.
So back to Maisha and her husband. Yes. So you went to them.
They printed all my stuff. And then I got a tablecloth made. I don't know who made my first tablecloth. I can't remember. Definitely was somebody local. I want to say it was Cameron Creations. I'm almost sure, but got a tablecloth, got a banner, because I'm big on first impression.
First time, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm like, oh no, we gonna come all the way together.
Yep.
Not only that, I was paying attention to the things going on around me, and I would see pop-up shops, but nobody was like really professional with it. And I think that's a stereotype that Black business owners face, is like, people don't expect us to come hard.
Yeah.
And I was coming hard. Every trip you see Living Rich, we was coming hard.
Yep.
So I came, made sure I had business cards, banner, tablecloth.
Yep.
You know, I had my little POS stuff on my phone.
Yeah.
So we was,
people listen, y'all. She dropping gems. She's for y'all people who wanna, especially you teenagers and younger people who wanna start a clothing line. Listen.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You got to come strong every time.
Every time.
So I think the first pop-up we did, where was this? No, actually our first pop-up was our launch. So this is when it was a bar on Noble. It's gone now. Whose bar was that? I don't know if you remember the name. It was like literally right across from Save-A-Lot.
I don't know, because I wasn't really going to certain.
I can't remember the name, and I'm so mad because
that
was
was
like my favorite place.
I'm a little bougie, so I wasn't really going to like the city bars.
See, yeah, I was all in them things.
Catch me at the restaurants. You
right.
know, say the 5-star restaurants. That's how I am to this day.
I can't believe I don't remember the name of it, but it was on Noble, and we had like a launch event there.
Yeah.
So we had the launch event. Oh, and I had a kid's shirt that had it was called The Future. So it was a little girl on there, and she was standing in front of a gumball machine. But the gumball machine was actually a globe. And she was like looking up. She had a book bag on, and the book bag was like a Living Rich book bag. And the design was called We Are the Future, because the children are our future. That's
dope.
Yeah. So
yeah, I like that.
I always come up with concepts, but I could not design to save my life.
Yeah.
But whatever. So we did that launch event, and I sold a lot. Like, I sold a lot. Yeah. But in my mind, I'm thinking, all pop-ups gonna be like this. They were not. Yeah. So anytime I seen somebody like promoting vendors needed, we was pulling up. We was there. Some were better than others, but this was all a learning stage for me. Yeah. So I was learning based on the promotion. Yeah. So I started being picky with pop-up shops. I would start seeing like, okay, who's promoting this? Mm-hmm. How are they following? Mm-hmm. How is their engagement? You know, what type of business do they got? Because if their business, they're not even putting into their business, nobody coming to their event. So, no, we're not coming to that vending event. Mm-hmm. So it was like some we would make a couple $100, some we would make a couple $1,000. Yeah. You know, and some I would do annually, like the Shaw Picnic. I don't miss it because that's my alumni. I know we're going to make thousands of dollars here. Yeah. Like, I don't care how big, I'm very humble. I don't care how big I get. I'm going to the Shaw Picnic because it's like, I know that I'm going to do good here. Yeah. When the Real Black Friday has an event, I'm coming because I know I'm going to do good here. Yeah. So it was just all a learning experience in the beginning of picking and choosing, you know, what areas, time frames, and so on and so forth. But what I started to notice at these pop-up shops was that men would come up to the table and be like, well, I want to live rich too. Yeah. Now, some of them was just flirting. However, some of them was serious, like, you don't got no stuff for men? You don't have no stuff for men? So I'm like, we should make this unisex.
Yeah.
We should make this unisex. Mm-hmm. But I was also scared, like, will this work? Because some men probably will be like, kind of like, they don't want to buy from us because we're women. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, what do we know about men's fashion? Not really knowing the mother is all into men's fashion. Cause I wear, I wear all the same stuff y'all do. Of course, not suits and stuff, but however, I wear the same stuff that y'all do. So I know a lot, actually. Yeah. So I was like, whatever, we gonna do it. We took a leap of faith. And we had a blog. We had a blog on our first website. I built that as well. That was my first introduction to website building because I was
you just did it all.
Yeah, I was like, it costs, at that time, like $2,000 to build a site. I was like, no. I was looking at sites. I'm like, no, this is not $2,000 worth of work. Yeah. And no, I'm going to figure this out. So my first site was like a Wix site. And it was very easy for me because I've always been good with electronics, and computer savvy and stuff like that. So I went on there. I figured out a first site. I built it. We had a blog on there. I would make sure me or my daughter would write a blog every week. So it was cool. Yeah. You know, we started getting a couple of online sales. We didn't have nearly as much as we do now, but it was like few far in between on online sales. So I had to go to pop-up shops then in order for us to make money.
So, all right. So then how long before you got your first actual space?
So my first space was actually not a space; it was a kiosk in Beechwood Mall.
You had a kiosk in Beechwood Mall?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep, 2018.
Where at? And what part of the mall?
Smack middle dead, right in the middle.
How
where
much
the escalators.
How much was that hitting for a month?
Ooh. I'll just say it's equivalent to the rent that I pay right now for a 2,500 square foot store. I'm so serious. Like
I already know that Beechwood Mall was hitting like
so you
heavy.
guys to know I was scared.
Was it a one? Was at least like a 1 year, 2 years?
Yeah, it was
commercial?
a 1 year.
Okay,
yeah,
1 year lease.
And
did you do only 1 year?
Oh yes.
You made it through the whole year?
Yes, but the problem was the holiday months. So you go in. I'll just give you a number. You go in at like 18, right?
Okay, 1,800 a month.
18. That's ridiculous for like something not even as big as this table.
Yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous. But 1,800, right?
Uh-huh.
The holidays, it jumps up to $4,000. So for November and December, you pay $4,000. That's $8,000 for 2 months.
How much product did you have to sell just to make the rent and walk home with something?
First of all, it was highway robbery.
Yeah.
Because I was all about doing my research.
For a kiosk. So I can only imagine what the stores is paying.
No, this is why it was robbery. Yeah. The store's rent did not increase for the holiday. Only the kiosks. Because they felt like we were going to get a overflow of traffic due to the inline stores. I still, to this day, don't understand the rationale in that. Like, how do you increase the rent for these smaller businesses for the holiday months where we are looking forward to making all this extra income? Right. But we're giving it away to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was ridiculous. That's why after that 1 year, I was out of there. However, during the holiday months, I was able to make my rent and make a profit, thankfully. Yeah, but it was a struggle. It was a struggle. Yeah. And I still kept thinking about how much more money I could have profited had I not been paying that ridiculous amount of money. So,
sheesh.
I was done with them.
So the kiosk in Beechwood Mall was your first, like, quote unquote, location.
Yep.
Outside of doing the pop up shops that you were constantly doing.
And I was scared of that. I was scared of that because remember I said this past year was my first full-time year running this business. I have always been juggling nursing and this,
that's
nursing
dope.
and this, nursing and this.
I think that's good for people to hear that you got into entrepreneurship, but you obviously still had to keep your full-time job just because you just never know. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. And it's safer, you know.
Yeah. Especially when you have a child too,
exactly.
You gotta take care of. It's different. It's different when people. Okay, you don't have a child to take to care for, and you can live with your mom. You can live anywhere. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you want to make sure that you're doing things the right way because a child take care of.
Exactly.
You know, most entrepreneur stories, people didn't have children like myself. I didn't have a kid, so I was living home with my mom when I started my entrepreneurship journey. So my journey is completely different from other people's. You know, I don't recommend people to quit their job. Like I always tell people, if you are working a job, work the job to learn something that's going to benefit your business. You know, work in those type of positions, whether it's customer service or how whatever it is, learn something from it and take something from it that you could use to benefit your business. But
and that's what I did. I used every piece of income, not all of it, but that was like my capital. Yeah. I didn't have I didn't get loans when I started my business. I didn't have a credit card or none of that. My capital was from my nursing income, which thankfully was pretty good. So I was able to use that to pour into my business, but I was not letting nursing go. Yeah. I just was not letting nursing go. And crazy enough, everybody's like, you picked the time of your nurse career that you could have made the most money ever to stop doing nursing. Like I stopped doing nursing during the pandemic.
Wow, yeah.
And that's when the rates were like through the roof, through the roof. But I really thought to myself that I'm gonna use this time to mentally pour more into my business. Yeah. Figure out ways that once this little shutdown is over with, that I can go to the next level. And I would not have been able to do that if I was at work 5 days out of the week, tired. So it was a sacrifice. It was a sacrifice. And I had saved, so I'm like, I'm gonna be okay. Yeah. I'm chilling and I'm working on these business ideas I have, which I actually started 2 other ones during the pandemic. So
all right, so hold on. Okay, so look, all right. So after the kiosk, once that lease was over with, then what was the next? So
the kiosk was over with. Actually, in December, which was my last month at the kiosk, I applied for Mayor Frank Jackson's Neighborhood Transformation Initiative, which they were going to pick 7 businesses to go into this incubator setting. Uh-huh. It was hundreds of applicants. I honestly didn't even think I was going to get picked because you can't tell me a lot of stuff as far as these competitions. I feel like they already have it pre-picked. You know, you have to know somebody. You got to get plugged in.
Yeah.
And I'm very big. I'm not cliquey at all. I'm not clicking up. I'm not hanging with somebody just so I can get in. I ain't doing it. So I'm like, I'm probably not going to get picked, but whatever. So I submitted, and I got an email that said I was a part of the finalists, like literally a couple days after my last day in Beechwood. So that made me feel good because it made me feel like I was making a good decision leaving Beechwood. It was like that was God's way of telling me, like, you're on the right track, just stay the course. Yeah. So, okay, cool. Left Beechwood New Year's Eve. That was my last day there. Left Beechwood. I was in tears. I spent New Year's Eve in tears. Because I was like, all these different people found out about us at Beechwood, and I'm leaving. Right. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't want to fail. And
hey, that was a good choice, though.
It was.
Beechwood getting a little.
They're definitely. So I was like,
downhill there.
I made the right decision. So that was in December, and then the next couple of months, I knew it was going to be like a competition style to actually be amongst the final business to be in there. So we were going to like classes. We had to do like a small pitch, a neighborhood pitch, where they had us set up like a pop-up or whatever. And people from the neighborhood would come, and then they would choose who will be the last finalist. Okay. So now I already told you how big I am with these pop-up setups. Yeah. So I already had my stuff together, but I'm like, I got to come even harder. Like, then I seen a lineup. I was like, these some pretty good businesses. I gotta come hard. So I had went to like, at that time I didn't have custom bags. I just had, some nice looking shopping bags. I didn't have custom ones. I was like, I went and got custom bags, and this is just for the for the mini pitch. Yeah, pitch. I went and got the custom bags. They were black. They had the gold Living Rich logo. So I had those for all the judges. So in each bag, I had like a Living Rich hat in there, a Living Rich ink pen in there. I went and got a whole like pamphlet made of information about the brand and how much we had grown. It had like graphs on there, and it was like, it was next level. Yeah. So I was like, and then I got, which is this shirt I have on now, which I have like freaked since then. City of Cleveland type stuff. I had got this design made. So that was the first time they had seen this design. So everybody was stopping at my table like, what is that? I'm like, we win. This will be one of our designs that we're going to feature in the store, because it was all about the city of Cleveland. Yeah. So the end of that night, they picked, the last 9 people, and we were amongst that. So it was like, all right, it's one more pitch after this one.
Still another pitch after that?
Still one more pitch after that one. God, it was just like they was just knocking people off the list. So last 9 people was in that, and then March 21st, 2019 was the final pitch. It was at the History Museum. Mary Frank Jackson was there. A lot of other, big names in the city was there. We had that final pitch. I don't think I've ever been that nervous in my life. Because in my mind, I was like, this is my first chance of actually designing a store from the ground up. So it's not like I'm going into a building and they just give me a space and like make it do what it do. It's like I literally will have full control to design my own space. And, people can see this journey we've been on from Beechwood and now here. So we did that pitch, and we we won amongst the 7 that were going to be in there.
That's what's up.
So I was like, yes.
So now what spot is this?
That's Glen Village.
That's the Glen Village. That's the 105. This is where I first met you.
Exactly.
I came in there.
Yep.
Wow. Now you still in that space now?
No, I left. I left that space.
I know things closed down when COVID hit and everything.
Oh, it was that space. It was a learning experience as well. Yeah. There was good and bad in there. Yeah. The good was that that was my first chance to like a physical location. Yeah. First chance where people can actually get this experience from us and see us on a daily basis, working with other very, very great Black-owned entrepreneurs every single day, us, sharing ideas with each other and everything like that. So that was, and then the neighborhood it was in. It was good to have that in that neighborhood. Yeah, it is. The downside to being in Glen Village was, first and foremost, there were multiple delays. So originally we were supposed to open that summer of that year. Construction didn't happen. We didn't open until 2020. Yeah. So during that time, in my mind, once we won, I'm thinking like, all right, boom, we about to get ready to open, because it had only been a couple months since I left Beechwood. Yeah. that's a cool little, pause or whatever.
Right.
I didn't think I was going to have a whole year pause.
A whole year, yeah.
So I'm worried about my brand. Like, okay, people are used to being able to see us and, walk in and purchase from Beechwood. Now they only can rely on online. So I was very, very worried about that. Yeah. Extremely worried about that. However, I'm like, all right, whatever. I would just make sure I posted stuff on social media and stuff. And just kept pushing that we are opening this store. I know it's not here yet.
Yeah.
We are opening. But I learned from being at Beechwood about that holiday season, that holiday rush. Yeah. That was my first introduction to that, like Black Friday and those Christmas sales and all that stuff. So they were like, well, we're not opening it until January. I'm like, so what about Black Friday and Christmas?
Yeah.
And I'm like, So I got a kiosk at South Park Mall.
Okay. Hey, she ain't playing. She ain't playing. Listen.
I'm going to get this money.
And the rent was way different.
Listen, the rent was way better at South Park. It was way, way better. Okay. So I'm like, I'm not missing this rush. Yeah. So went to South Park. I was like, hey, I just want to do a seasonal lease. November, December. They was all for it. And they didn't make me work there every day. Yeah. Beechwood had all these. How do you charge people all this money to have all these extra rules? Bizarre. Crazy. But South Park, I told them, hey, I will only be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. During the week, we're not operating at this kiosk because I had been in that mall. The traffic was a little super slow. So it's like, I don't want to have to pay somebody to sit here these days. We're not making money when the real traffic comes Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's what we did. And we were able to do some really, really good numbers and only being open 3 days out of the week for those 2 months. So that helped me get more of my inventory I needed for January. Okay. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. So now I'm not really pulling out of my nursing stuff no more. Yeah. Mind you, I still was doing nursing. So those other days that I wasn't working at the kiosk, I was working at my nursing job. Okay. But it was cool. I'm like,
so the business is paying for itself.
Yes, it's paying for itself now. Yeah. I'm not pulling out my, my nursing money. We're good. Uh-huh. Grand opening at Glen Village. Yeah. Oh, man, it was phenomenal. Uh-huh. I did numbers through the roof the first day. Yeah. First day, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. Like, first day. I'm happy. Yeah. I'm happy because
I was spending money with everybody that day.
Yeah, it was so many people there, and then even the people that didn't make it during the grand opening, they were still coming. Because it's new now. Everybody hearing about it, the buzz. So that first almost 60 days, it was good. However, the pandemic happened. Yep. So we opened January 31st. March 13th, we were closed. Dang. It was terrible. Dang. Oh, I was so upset. I was so upset. I was so hurt. I was so hurt.
Right. I think it was closed for like a year. It's been over a year.
Yeah. So I was like, no, it didn't close for a year. We weren't closed for a year. We were closed for, I want to say 4 months, like almost 4 months. But when we opened back up,
people weren't coming out.
And then they decided to do construction. So the whole 105.
Oh, yeah, 105 is horrible. Yeah.
The whole 105. You couldn't even, it was like a one-way street. Yeah. There was nowhere to park. Yep. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Yeah. So it was still a lot of people that did not even know we existed down there because they didn't get a chance. So last summer was crazy. Yeah. And I stuck with it though. I didn't go, I left nursing Juneteenth. Uh-huh. Juneteenth last year, and I have not been back since then. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to pause. Jamie, good afternoon, Jamie. Hello.
Jamie, this is Rhea. Rhea, this is Jamie.
Nice to meet you.
Jamie's the chef.
Oh, my God. I know you do.
Jamie's been holding it down, man. She's like just the number one, only person I like really been using. So, Jamie, what you got for us today?
We have a salmon and lobster Philly over rice. And for you, Lawrence, we got mushroom Philly over rice.
Mushroom Philly. Listen, I'll take it. Okay.
I sent him what I don't. Yeah, I know he was like, this
I
girl is
screenshot and sent it to her. I screenshot and sent it to her, so she knows.
He sent it to me. I was like, well, I do a lot of this. I did some though.
That's fine. That's fine.
I gotta make sure you're okay.
Yes.
Man.
Yes. Oh, that looks great.
That looks phenomenal.
That looks great.
I saved my stomach for this.
Listen, you and I both.
I was like, I'm not going to eat, and I hope my stomach does not start growling while we're doing this podcast. It's going to sound like a man is in my body. It's going to be horrible.
So, we're going to, we can cap the food out, and then we're going to, I just got a couple more questions.
Okay.
So we can enjoy it. But that story is good. The story's good. So, that looks great, Jamie. Oh, wow.
It does.
Oh, man. Dang.
Listen.
Okay. Dad, you got your plate in there, Dad?
I got my
She about to get some. Man, I'm gonna take a quick bite of this.
Look, you'll be both.
Yeah, go ahead.
This just look too good.
Yeah.
Okay, Jamie. Oh yeah, this is good.
Okay.
I'm gonna need to hire you for my soft opening.
Absolutely. Next level caterer.
Yes.
Yes. I've tagged her in a lot of posts, so.
All right, you guys enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, that's good.
Very.
So, all right. So now let's fast forward. So you're no longer in that spot no more.
Right.
And now, when I was on the phone with you earlier, you was like, I'm a little late because I was dealing with construction, with these contractors. So what construction contractors, what you got going on now?
So, like I said, Glen Village had its good and its bad. I actually encountered an issue being there because the layout of Glen Village, we didn't have ceilings. They only gave ceilings to Black Box Fix. They had a ceiling. The seafood restaurant, they had a ceiling. Yeah. And then the coffee place around the corner from us had a ceiling. Everybody else, all the food. So I was in between the barbershop and Vitamin Candy.
Vitamin Candy, yeah.
So initially, when we first started, Vitamin Candy was doing smoothies, wraps, cold pressed juices, and stuff like salads and stuff like that. And then she transitioned her menu, which was super good because it gave us more food, especially me because I'm not the most vegetable. I'm not the biggest vegetable eater. She transitioned her menu, and so she started doing like chicken, like grilling chicken and stuff like that. But that food smell was coming over the wall. So I started to notice. First, it was a customer that told me, and they came in. They was like, I love my stuff, but it just smelled like food. Like, food? Well, we don't keep our stuff like upstairs in our house or nothing like that. Yeah. So I don't even cook that much. So I know so I know that's not it. Like, so first I thought it was a seafood restaurant. I'm like, this got to be from the seafood place or whatever. But it wasn't.
They got the vents. They got the hood vents.
Yeah.
So everything goes right up.
Exactly. So it wasn't. So then what happened was my daughter was working in the store a lot. She was working in the store a lot. I was doing more behind the scenes, so I didn't have to be there as much. So before we got her a car, I would pick her up, and she would get in the car, and I'm like, you stink. Like, and I'm like, okay, that is from the restaurant. Yeah. That's from the restaurant. Yeah. So at that point, I'm like, I reached out to the city. I'm like, hey, we got to do something because I need either give me a ceiling or something. We got to figure this out. So they were like, they're not doing anything where they have to spend more money. They're not. So I'm like, well, what's my options then? And they was like, well, we could tell her to change her menu. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not doing that. So I'm not going to mess up somebody else's business because of what you guys don't want to fix. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, can I do an early termination of my lease then? Because I cannot sell clothes that smell like chicken. Like, it's just impossible. So they agreed, and I was like, okay, cool. So I started looking for spaces. Not only that, I already was outgrowing the space. There was so many more items that I wanted to bring in, and I just didn't have enough room. I didn't have room to store inventory. We had just outgrown it in general. So it was like, all right, this is just God's timing at this point. So I ended up finding me a new space, and I was like, I'll stick out the summer here because this was our first real summer there. Yeah. Remember the previous summer, it was construction, it was COVID, all this stuff. So this was my first like real summer down there. So I'm like, I'm going to at least stick it out for this summer. But I found me a new space, a new home. Living Rich will be in Richmond Heights now. Okay, Richmond Heights. I went from 130 square feet to 2,500 square feet. Wow. So, and this will be an experience like no other.
That's what's up. Yeah. I'm excited for you.
Yes.
I'm excited for you. Well, I got one more question because I don't want to eat. This food's gonna come. As a matter of fact, me another bite. You want another bite too? Because since it's here,
right?
Since it's here, you know what I'm saying. This is good.
Yeah, she put her foot in it.
How is it, Dad?
Look, he like delicious.
Look, he love her food. Okay.
Oh yeah, he gets to eat it all the time.
Every time. Oh yeah. I can't have my dad going hungry now.
Yeah, I like your position, Dad.
So one question I always ask my guests that are from Cleveland is, what's your take on the city? How do you feel about the city of Cleveland and as far as entrepreneurship? Like, do you see yourself being here and continuing here, or do you see yourself eventually like, I know I need to take my business elsewhere to a whole other city, like a whole other state? You know, so how do you feel?
I feel like Cleveland is definitely a city that is harder to make it in. I don't think it's impossible. I've seen people, you know, make it here in different realms. I haven't really seen people blow up here in clothing, like in what I'm doing. Most leave, and then, you know, they get exposure. But this will always be Living Rich Home. So even as we reach the next level, I would never not have a store here. I'm very big on making it here first. And I want to make it here first because so many people don't. So many people, and I have nothing against people that leave, because you have to do what's best for your business. And as an entrepreneur, you learn these things along the way. However, just with the life that I've had here, my story, our journey, me and my daughter's journey, I think it'll be much more inspiring and impactful if we blow up while I'm still physically here.
Exactly.
Because it'll always be, somebody will always contribute our success to us leaving.
Most definitely.
So I'd rather have it here, and then I'll open another store. I literally don't want more than 3 stores ever, because I'm big on exclusiveness. So I will have one here, maybe one in Cali, and probably one in Atlanta.
That's it. And he's gonna say Atlanta. You gotta say Atlanta. That's where. Listen, that's what's up. A lot of connections in Atlanta for our people. I think Atlanta would be dope, because I know a few people down there that have clothing brands and they're doing really well. So, you know, I feel you. I love Cleveland. I'm actually looking at places in Atlanta to just live back and forth. But Cleveland's always going to be my bread and butter. It's always going to be my home. Not leaving. My business is going to be here. You know, but with the clothing industry, those connections are very important. I feel you. That's what's up.
It is. My best friend is she lives in Atlanta. So, you know, when I do decide to transition down there, I have those, like you said, connections down there. And she's built her own connections down there. So, in Atlanta, they're very much more supportive than in Cleveland. Like, I can go down there today and set up a table in front of a store with just selling my clothes, and I probably will sell out on the corner. Versus here, they're going to be looking, taking pictures, posting, like, what's she doing?
Right,
like,
It's definitely something to think about.
So.
Something to think about. Well, Rhea, I am so excited that you are here. I enjoyed this episode.
Thank you for having me.
You have a very delicious meal in front of you by Jamie, Next Level Caterers. And we're going to sit here and talk and eat and, you know, break bread and just go from there. I really appreciate you coming on. Episode 15.
Thank you. Episode 15.
That's a wrap.
Living Rich.
Yes.